Hey guys, so today we're checking out the LED lights in chrome fitting all 2019 and newer Silverado 1500s without the factory LED taillights. So if you are not a fan of the factory taillights, you're looking for something that's going to give your truck a little bit more style while also giving you better lighting performance in the meantime, these are going to be a great choice to take a look into. Now, as you can see, these are going to give a total refresh to the rear end of the truck with the fully chrome construction, giving a more classic look when it comes to the taillight itself, which will be great for anybody who's looking for that pop out and stand out chrome appearance to the back of their truck, or looking to match with any other chrome or clear lighting that they already have on their Silverado. Now, this is also again going to improve the lighting performance of your truck significantly, considering that this is a full LED construction. Now, you're going to have multiple clusters up at the top and down at the bottom of multiple LEDs, which is going to be a lot more noticeable while you're driving around on the street in comparison to your factory halogen bulbs. And what I really like about this option is the fact that this is also going to come with a light bar aesthetic or light bar look when it comes to the daytime running lights, and that is going to border each of those clusters and the reverse light. Now, speaking of the reverse light, in comparison to your factory one, this is going to be considerably brighter, which is going to be great if you are looking for a taillight that's helping you out with visibility out of the rear end, especially when you're backing up at night. Now, overall, this is going to be a big step up, and this is also going to be plug and play, come with a full kit. So it's going to be incredibly easy to install, making this not only a great mod when it comes to the functionality, but it is an easy mod to do for your truck to spice it up when it comes to styling and so on. So with all of that being said, these are going to come in roughly $450, which is a very average price point for an LED taillight on the page. Now, other options may be set up a little bit similar. They may be tailored to trucks that come with the factory LEDs out of the factory, in comparison to this option where it is specifically for those halogen models. Now, there are other options on the page that are going to take a different approach when it comes to the styling. They may have more of a black appearance instead of the chrome that you see here, which will be better for somebody who's more a fan of the blacked out look. Now, in my personal opinion, I think if you're a fan of that chrome look, you're looking for something that's very clean, going to really make the rear end of the truck stand out while also increasing that lighting performance, then these are going to be a great choice. Now, again, when it comes to install, these are going to be incredibly easy to install. I'm going to give it a 1 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, taking you about 45 minutes to get the job done. So speaking of the install, let's jump into that now. The tools that I used for this install were a trim removal tool, a soft pry tool, a 1/4 inch drive ratchet, a 3-inch extension, and a T15 torque socket. So to kick off this install, you want to make sure that your tailgate is open, and then we can remove the 2 fasteners on the inside of our tailgate to release our taillight. So on the inside of our tailgate here, we're going to have 2 fasteners. I'm going to remove them with a T15 Torx. I'm also going to use a small extension just to give myself some room away from the tailgate and the cable here. At this point, what we can do is just take a soft pry tool and wiggle out our taillight, pulling it straight back.
So on this truck, the connector is down at the bottom here underneath the frame right next to our spare tire. So all we need to do is disconnect it from here. We can just push down and pull back. Now, there are going to be multiple clips that are holding it in, so at this point we can remove those with a trim removal tool. So if you follow the wiring harness up, what we can do is just wiggle these out of the body. And this is just what keeps it in place, and then we can fully remove it by just untucking it from the top here, and then we can head back up to the actual taillight. So our last connection to our taillight is right up at the top here. This is going to be the light for our bed. So what I'm going to do is actually put the taillight back just for the time being. I'm just going to lightly secure it, and then we can head into the bed area
and extract the light to remove that wiring harness just because it is crammed in the tail light housing here. So on the bottom of the light on the inside, there's a little tab that you need to push up while also pulling forward on the small light here. And then once you do that, it should pop right out. I'll show you guys just a second what I'm talking about. But right on the bottom, there's a small little tab that you need to depress in order to wiggle it out. Then we can unhook this red locking tab, pull straight back. And completely disconnect that. We'll put that to the side where we will be reusing that. But our new light is going to come with a new harness here. So once that's disconnected, what we can do is fully remove our old taillight. So once you pull the taillight out of place, we can fish the old wire up. And fully remove our taillight. So before we install our new light, I wanted to stop down, show you guys the new lights next to our factory ones, give you a little bit of a comparison, and show you some of the similarities and differences between the two. Now, starting off is just a brief overview of our factory light. As you guys are probably familiar with, you're gonna have a bright red lens here with a small clear lens in the middle for your reverse light. It is going to have some very stock styling. It's not too much when it comes to the styling, very simple. And then on the inside, you're going to have those halogen bulbs. Now, those are gonna do a pretty okay job when it comes to lighting performance for a taillight. However, when moving over to a full LED setup like this is going to be a huge improvement. Now, comparing this to our factory light, as you can see, this is going to have a very chrome appearance to it. That's going to be perfect for anybody who is looking for more of a chrome or classic look to a taillight. This is also going to have some red reflectors on it, so you still are keeping the red for not only styling, but for safety as well. You're going to have one up on the side and one down on the bottom. Now, this is also going to come with multiple LEDs, like I said, a big improvement over the factory halogen bulbs. We're going to have a small cluster up top, a little bit of a bigger cluster down at the bottom. Those are going to act as your brake light. Now, we're going to have the reverse light in the middle, just like we would on our factory light. However, these are going to be LED again. So these are going to provide a lot more visibility onto the rear end of the truck than a factory halogen bulb would. Now, the light bar setup that I do really like about these taillights is going to be around each of the clusters and around the middle here. Now, those are going to illuminate red and give a more fiber optic look. So that is going to add a lot of styling to the rear end of the Silverado and is also going to just make you more noticeable while you're driving around on the street. Not to mention, this is going to be completely plug and play. As you can see, this has a long wiring harness that we can fish down through and connect, just like our factory one. So install is going to be easy as well. So speaking of that, let's head over to the truck and install our new light. So our first step is to take our long wiring harness and fish that down underneath where that connection is. And we'll get to that in just a second. We're gonna mount up the rest of our taillight first, but we wanna get that situated. So once that is down there, our next step is to connect the small connector to our light. So what we can do is fish our wire for our bed light through, plug that in, secure that down, and then we can pop this back into place. You should hear a small click. Then we can mount up our taillight. So what we can do is line up the studs and give it a good push inward, making sure that it lines up on both the bottom and the top there. So after the taillight is sitting in place, what we can do is grab our factory hardware and that T15 Torx and hand thread our hardware into place. Then we can tighten it up with our ratchet or impact wrench, whatever you have on hand. What you want to do now is take the wire and fish it up and over the frame. Once it's up and over, we can connect it to our factory connector here, making sure that you hear a click. And then what you can do at this point, if you'd like, is just zip tie it up and out of the way. You can zip tie it to the wires that are already here. But at this point, we're finished on this side. We can repeat this process on the other side. So that is going to wrap it up for my review and install. Make sure you like and subscribe for more videos and products just like this. And always keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.